So welcome to the broadcast. Shateka Husser coming to you once again. It's Winning in Wealth Wednesday late night. And I want to talk about, I'm going to ask you a question. If you had the choice of having $100,000 or having $1,000 for the rest of your life, which one would you choose? Which one would you choose? $100,000 or $1,000 per month for the rest of your life, beginning at age 62. Now, there's going to be quite a few different responses based on, of course, subjective preferences. Um, Personally, myself, I would say that I can do quite a bit with the $100,000 versus waiting for the $1,000. Um, and so the reason why I'm asking you this question is because this is exactly how your traditional accounts are created in the 403Bs, the 401Ks, the 457s, the TSPs, the list goes on. Basically, employer plans. The employer plans basically have your funds in money jail forever. You can't access them without a tax challenge, right? Or some type of tax penalty until 59 and a half. And then you can't really have full access until you're about 62. Then, of course, that age continues to get later and later as time goes on and progresses. Full-time retirement right now is at 67. And so what are you going to do? So most people that are, in their 20s, their 30s, they are not waiting that long, number one. And so there is a better solution. And the better solution really is non-traditional. It's going to require you to have discipline. It's going to require you to have focus. It's going to require you to have a vision. It's going to require you to want to take care of your older self with healthcare, inflation, and taxes in mind. Where right now that's the least of your concern because you're probably trying to live your best life. And I'm just talking to the Gen Zs, the Gen Ys, and the younger generation. The older generation, you really understand that, according to economists, there may not be Social Security, right? They've been saying this for years. They said years ago, between 2025 and 2034, there would not be any Social Security. We are in that era right now. So what are you doing, no matter what age you are, to make sure that you have some type of supplemental income, some type of benefit for your long-term care, some type of strategy or advantage planning for your advanced planning, I should say, for your taxes? Because the biggest termite, besides, of course, your ignorance, everyone's ignorance when it comes to finances, is going to be taxes. It's going to be the second largest termite, right? And so how do you get around that? How do you make sure that you have something in place so that you have peace of mind and financial security in the future and taking care of your older self? Well, that is exactly what this conversation is about, and all these conversations have been about that we've been having on podcasts. In fact, we are definitely speaking 3 times this month, different places. We'll be talking about that and answering some of those questions. But I definitely want to hear in the comments, what are your questions around, index annuities? Because if you did not know, Social Security is an annuity. It's just one that you have not designed. It's one that was designed for you by the government, and you had to pay into it. And if you haven't paid into it because you haven't worked on a W-2, then what are you paying into, and how are you making sure that you have something in place for your future? And so that is the number one question and concern that I have for people that are just kind of floating through life and not really problem aware. My goal is to always bring awareness around these topics because people aren't really thinking about it. They're really just trying to get by. But what if there's a way that you can get by and still be paying into your retirement account at the same time? I like to call these retirement readiness income accounts for a reason, because they're designed differently based on what your circumstances are, your health, your vision, your age, what you have going on with your budget, your liabilities, your assets. It's different for everyone. So this is definitely not financial advice. Past results will equal future results. Can't make any income claims. But what I can tell you is you need to have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, then you're planning to fail. And so I can't tell you the number of times that I wish I could. People are telling me, I wish I would have met you 10, 20, 30 years ago, because the information they didn't know, they didn't understand, they didn't have a desire to even understand, to be honest with you. And so, how do we get that information into your hands? Well, you have to start with intention. You have to be intentional about financial literacy. You have to be intentional about making sure that you have a retirement income plan. You have to be intentional. And the best way to be intentional is by basically getting in contact with someone, some financial professional that will help you to realize, what your numbers are. What is your gap? Because 60% of most people have at least a 60% gap. I'll just say that. Out of the hundreds of people that we've met with, there's only been 2 people that have actually been prepared when it came to their retirement plan. And so one of the things that we want to place in your hand is, of course, a retirement planning guide. It's just a very basic and beginning. It's a checklist that's going to help you to start looking at some of the questions that you need to answer. And so I want to make sure I flash that across the screen here. And you can go to Shateka.com. I got to update that. But basically, you'll be able to see where there is a complimentary retirement planning checklist guide that you'll be able to download. And you'll see some information there. If you go to Husser.com, that is my full website. I never get that website out because people get lost on there. But there is like 16 questions on there that really ask you, get you to really start asking yourself these types of questions, around that. And also, when you message us, we can send you our brochure. Our brochure actually has those questions on it as well, our company brochure. But you need to start asking yourself these questions, because gone are the days when you wait to the last minutes, 5 years out, the 1 year out. People are doing that. And it's a stressful event that doesn't have to be stressful. It can be very pleasant. There's an easy breakdown. The goal is for you to be clear sooner than later. And the sooner that you're clear, the sooner that you can start taking the appropriate action so that you can have momentum as it relates to preparing for your retirement. Listen, I am Shateka Husser. I am your retirement consultant guide, if you will. I hope you retire before you expire. So that's what you desire and what you aspire. We are the ones that you hire. Our goal is to get your bank account on fire with a whole lot of lifetime tax-free retirement income that you will not outlive. Listen, we love a good rhyme, but our goal is to make sure that we take the time with you that's necessary so that you can get in momentum as it relates to being in position for your retirement, because that is a sin to not be in position for your retirement when you have plenty of time. We prepare for a lot of things. Sometimes people don't prepare for their career, but they're in their career, right? Sometimes you don't get to prepare for your marriage, but you're in your marriage. I am just admonishing you to prepare for your retirement. And oh, by the way, there are some strategies that can help you catch up, right? So there's some retirement catch-up plans. So just like you put a mortgage on your home, you can put a mortgage on your retirement and have a much better income in the future. That's another whole strategy that we don't talk much about. But I would definitely want to make sure that I gave you the invite, made you aware that we are accepting more consultations for the month of February. You can go to Shateka.com, book you a compatibility call. And when you book that call, it's going to be a brief call. We just want to see if we're a good fit, if we can help you or not. And we'll move from there. All right. So have an incredible, incredible day because it's already moving into the next day. And so go to Shateka.com and we will get in touch with you as soon as we can. Definitely just go ahead and book your call, and then we will have someone to reach out to you to make sure that we get you the information that you need. Or I myself will have a conversation with you briefly so that we can make sure that you are in momentum. Somebody say momentum. All right. I look forward to speaking with you soon. And again, would you do the $100,000 today? Or would you do $1,000 monthly for the rest of your life later? And how you answer that question answers a lot of different scenarios as it relates to your positioning. But the main thing we want to look at is, how do we get in front of paying taxes, and how do we turn your accounts into tax-free accounts, ideally? Because the number one question I have for people is, are you going to pay taxes on the harvest or on the seed? So $20,000 today or $200,000 tomorrow? And do you believe that taxes are going to be higher in the future than they are today? Absolutely. And so if it was in the 90s, back in the 40s and the 50s, where do you think it's going today? And it's already in the 40s. Where do you think it's possibly going in this very near future, right? So economists have already told us that 2033, the taxes are going to be doubled. We heard that years ago. And so we're heading in that direction based on, the national debt, things of that nature. So definitely want you to start looking at the hit list. Everything that I'm talking about is always going to be the hit list. If your retirement account is not centered around the hit list, in other words, healthcare, inflation, and taxes, you need to look closer at your retirement account and see how you can make some adjustments with your advisor. That's the best advice I can give you today, because I don't know your financial situation. This is not a consultation. I don't know your numbers, but what we can do is get on a compatibility call and see if we can help. All right. So we'll see you at the top, because you belong there. And this post is closing right now.